Welcome to Chicago Counterpoint Television. This is a fantastic television program, and it's great to be here with Art Callow, a lawyer I have a lot of respect for. And the Fatherhood Educational Institute is a great charity that's very significant in putting on this television program. And it's great to be here, and I'd like to thank our listening audience, our loyal listening audience, for welcoming us into their homes, for welcoming us into your homes. Thank you, and this is going to be a great show tonight, and it's great to have Art Callow here. Art Callow is a fantastic lawyer, a family law litigator. He's been protecting children and fathers and grandparents for many, many years, and judges have been appointing him to represent children in court to make sure they're safe and their futures are safe, and that they don't become victims of sexual abuse or molestation. So judges for years have been appointing Art Callow to protect children, meaning these judges have been putting the safety and welfare and futures of these children in the palms of his hands, and it's an honor to be here. And I know Art Callow was recently awarded a very significant award, which isn't on my talking points that were prepared for me, which is, I guess, just how things work when you're preparing for TV. But luckily, I have a news release or a news article on this, which does have the award he was given, and it's the 2017 Matrimonial Law Award, and it's a great award, and congratulations on receiving it.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. It's great to be on the show again.
Now, we do have a caller, so we better take the caller. Caller, you're on the show. Jeff Leving, Chicago Counterpoint TV, and we have Art Callow here, the award recipient of the 2017 Matrimonial Law Award. And what can we do for you? Or what I should say is, what can Art Instagrammer Callow do for you?
Well, thanks for taking my call, and it's great to have both of you available to answer my question. It's for a friend of mine who's working tonight, but he's been paying child support. He doesn't know where the money's going. He knows it's not being spent on his kids. He had to take his kids this weekend to get them school supplies and backpacks. They never have new clothes, but the mom always has new clothes, jewelry. She's out at nightclubs. So the child support he knows isn't being spent on his kids. Is there anything he can do? Is he helpless in this situation?
No. Nobody should feel helpless. Never give up hope. And Art Callow is here to answer that important question. And keep one thing in mind. It's always impossible until it's done. Nelson Mandela and Art Callow is here to help tonight.
Well, I think a lawyer that's really competent could come up with a creative approach to be able to get the information that your friend needs and to make sure that the children are provided for. If they're being neglected in any way, then obviously there should be a change either in the amount of money that's paid or the way it's paid, or else maybe even where the children live. Some judges, and most people think that most judges won't want an accounting of exactly what goes on with the expenses and what is done with the child support. But I believe that I know that a really competent lawyer could figure out a way to get the relief that your friend needs in order to make sure that the monies are spent adequately on the child. And I would encourage your friend to seek competent legal help for that.
Does the mother have a psychological disorder? Is this mother presenting an endangerment to these children? Well, it looks like we lost the caller. Caller, if you heard me, call back, because I want an answer to those questions. I want to know if the children are safe. New caller, you're on the air. Attorney Jeffrey Leving, Chicago Counterpoint Television, and we have Art Callow here. The reason I call him Art Instagrammer Callow, because he knows how to use Instagram. And a lot of lawyers don't, and he's great at it. What can we do for you?
Yes, my brother called me up today. He got served with an order of protection at work. He relates that his wife got in an argument with him last night, and she alleges in the papers that he pushed her, which he didn't. And today he can't go back to the house, doesn't have access to the children, and he doesn't know what to do.
Well, this sounds terrible. Unfortunately, we hear things like this all the time, and it saddens me every time I hear something like this. You should definitely take a look at the Fatherhood Educational Institute's website, and apparently it may not be completely overhead. I'll try again. Well, that's about as much as we have up here. But take a look at it, fatherhood-edu.org. There's a lot of good information on it. And again, you can call 312-795-9060 for great information from the Fatherhood Educational Institute. Now, Attorney Callow, could you please help this caller?
Well, your friend really needs some help immediately. This is not something that can be ignored. A lawyer could go into court and reopen it on a couple of days' notice and have a hearing, because this was all done behind your friend's back. It's very unfair, but the law permits people to go into court and make claims and get orders of protection. Those orders of protection will be in effect until a specific date, and if your friend does nothing, it's going to be extended for up to 2 years. So your friend has to be in court immediately so that he can get back into the house and he can not have to worry that he's going to get picked up by the police, because violation of an order of protection is an extremely serious crime. And the way to handle it is to get rid of the order of protection as soon as possible.
Well, Attorney Callow, if a father is convicted of violating an order of protection because he fails to show up in court and defend himself, what's the maximum time he can end up in Cook County Jail?
Well, I believe up to a year. It's a very serious offense.
Absolutely.
And the state's attorney takes it very, very seriously. So the way to handle it is to get rid of it so that you don't have to worry about being accused of violating it.
Great advice, and check out the Fatherhood Educational Institute, 312-795-9060, and check out its Twitter account at FatherhoodEDU. Next caller, you're on the air with Chicago Counterpoint Television. I'm the host, Attorney Jeffrey Loving, tonight, and we have Art Callow here.
Yeah, Mr. Callow, a friend of mine's daughter-in-law took the children to her mother's house in Kenosha, Wisconsin for a lot of the summer, and now she's told my friend's son that she's placed the kids in schools in Wisconsin, and she intends to get a divorce, and there's pretty much, nothing he can do about it. So, what could he do?
Well, first of all, he has to stop thinking there's nothing he can do about it. There's lots that he can do about it, and he has to do something soon. Illinois is still the home state of the children as far as the law goes, and it will remain that way for about 6 months. So it's important that he assert himself very quickly and have the children move back to Illinois. I don't know exactly where they moved from, but a move over 25 miles from the residence is considered a relocation, and that really shouldn't be done without a court order or an agreement. Kenosha is very close over the border, so I don't know if they're living in Winthrop Harbor or farther downstate, like Chicago or Joliet or someplace. That would certainly be more than 25 miles.
Yeah, they were in Chicago.
Okay, well then, he should definitely be in a lawyer's office to get an order forcing the children to come back to Illinois. We can't really force the mother to live anywhere that she doesn't want to live, but we can certainly force the children to be brought back to Illinois. And that's what, he should do that very soon.
Okay, thank you for calling, and don't forget the Fatherhood Educational Institute's a great charity, and Chicago Counterpoint Television is a program that I think is very educational and valuable. Caller, our next caller, you're on the air. I'm Attorney Jeffrey Loving, and the guest tonight is Art Callow. And what can he do for you? An expert in Instagram.
Well, thank you very much. I have a friend that his wife is constantly yelling at him in front of his kids, and she's always talking poorly to the children, and he doesn't know what to do.
Well, Art, this happens too frequently, and often it turns into parental alienation, and children should never be used as tools of revenge. against a parent. This is terrible, but Art, could you please help this caller?
Well, judges are very, very sensitive to this, and they don't like it. So your friend should be before a judge very quickly. He should be in a lawyer's office preparing the proper papers to proceed with whatever kind of case is appropriate. But part of that case should be that an order should be entered very, very quickly to prevent any disparaging comments by the mother about you, or about your friend actually, in front of the children. It can have lifelong ramifications and very bad consequences. And as Mr. Leving just said, oftentimes this is the beginning of an attempted parental alienation, which can be very, very harmful to the children. So this is not just a simple question of her not using right judgment. It can actually be very harmful to the children, and it should be taken that way.
There are about 24 million children that live absent their biological fathers. There's a reason for that. Parental alienation is one of the reasons. Take it seriously. And why don't you check out the Fatherhood Educational Institute? Caller, our next caller, you're on the air, Attorney Jeff Leving, and it's a pleasure to have Art Callow, an attorney I respect here, as the guest for this evening. You're on the air, caller.
Yes, I have a question. A friend of mine is in a relationship, and the mother is abusive to him. He's not physically abused, but she's constantly yelling at him. He's not a very strong man, and he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't want to call the police. She doesn't actually swing at him, but she's constantly belittling him and making him feel like he's insignificant, and it's causing a lot of stress in his life and in his job. He almost lost his job over it. And I'm wondering, is there anything he can do? Is there any grounds for him to go to court on something like that?
Absolutely. And Art Callow is here. He's someone I consider our legal commentator for this evening. Mr. Callow, could you please address this caller?
What I would recommend is that he discuss with an attorney the possibility of an order of protection. Orders of protection can be granted for harassment, and harassment includes the sort of conduct that you seem to be describing. And it's just wrong to have to put up with that. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be verbal insults, verbal threats, verbal abusive language. That's considered harassment and even abuse. And so I think that this is a good case for him to be talking to a lawyer to get some protection. I think it might make him feel a little bit more confident about himself too, and to know that the law is on his side.
For more information, you call the Fatherhood Educational Institute at 312-795-9060 and check out their website, fatherhood-edu.org, and their Twitter at fatherhoodedu, and they have a great Facebook, Fatherhood Educational Institute. That's their Facebook. It's a great Facebook. Check it out. It's a great organization. And there's a little shot of their website. And now we're back. And Art, what do you recommend?
I recommend that he immediately talk to a lawyer about an order of protection.
Yeah, an order of protection is very important. It can be very valuable if used correctly. If misused, it's terrible. And it could result in an innocent person going to jail when they've done nothing wrong. It can result in children losing their parents when they have great parents. But if it's used correctly, it could save lives. It could save lives. All right, next caller, you're on the air. This is Jeff Leving with Chicago Counterpoint TV, and it's an honor to have matrimonial attorney, Arthur Callow here as the guest for this evening. You're on the air, caller.
Yes, I'm in a divorce situation, and the court appointed an attorney for my daughter. And I met with this attorney, and she's telling lies to the judge. She's saying things I never said. And I noticed she's real friendly with my wife's attorney, and I think this is terrible. What can I do about it? Because I know Arthur Callow represents kids, and he should know what to do with a situation like this. I can't believe the bias.
You're right. Art Callow should know what to do. So tell this caller what to do, Art.
Well,
I need help.
choosing the right child representative or guardian is very important, and it requires a lot of skill to make sure that you don't get somebody that's going to be biased against you. Also, you have to be prepared when you talk to a guardian or a child representative. You have to have some coaching, maybe, not to do the wrong thing, but so that you come out across as best as you can. And to work with an attorney that is a guardian would give your friend a lot of help in terms of being able to deal with the situation. This is not something to do by oneself. It requires a lot of preparation and a lot of skill. Sometimes bad relationships with guardians can be remedied, and sometimes they have to be. And I would encourage your whoever this is, if it's you or your friend, to contact a competent attorney to see what can be done to remedy the situation with the guardian.
And keep in mind, there's a difference between a court-appointed child representative and a court-appointed GAL, guardian ad litem. Mr. Callow was appointed by a judge in one case, I believe, as the guardian ad litem, and one of the parents threatened him and told him to recommend custody in a certain manner. Mistake. Never threaten a GAL. It can blow up. Never do that. It's the best way to make a big mistake. And I remember going to court with Mr. Callow on this one. It was a very unfortunate situation. Never threaten GALs, child reps, or judges. It will always blow up in your face. Next caller, you're on the air, Chicago Counterpoint Television. Jeffrey Loving, the host, and we have Art Callow here this evening.
Hi, I just have a question. My husband lost his job recently and cannot afford to pay his child support. He's behind now, I'd say 2 months, and he's a little concerned about that. So I was just wondering if there's something that he could do to adjust all that.
Well, Attorney Callow will respond, but keep in mind, have him send his resume to the Fatherhood Educational Institute. You never know. Every once in a while, we're aware of somebody looking to hire someone. So you can always send a resume to the Fatherhood Educational Institute. Mr. Callow, could you please help this caller?
Yes, he should immediately file a motion to modify the child support or to abate it without accrual, which is a fancy way of saying to stop the child support and not have it continue to accrue, so that there won't be anything due on it. But merely because he's unemployed, that doesn't automatically stop the child support. And we have some cases that we've heard of where people come into our office and they owe child support for years because they never got around to modifying it. And that's a very, very difficult situation to be in. So now is the time to do it. He's 2 months behind. We don't want it to be any longer than that. And that's what I would suggest, immediately going in and modifying it. The court can modify it to the date that the motion is filed. So get it on file as soon as you can. And a good attorney should be able to do that very quickly. Within a couple of days, get something on file.
Thank you, Art. And before we take the next caller, I want to let our listening audience know that if you don't protect your rights and you sit on them, you can forfeit them. You don't want to end up at risk by ignoring a problem. And secondly, there's nothing more precious in life than the time a father spends with his children. All right? So take a look at the Fatherhood Educational Institute and call 312-795-9060 for great information, and log on to its website, www.fatherhood-edu.org, fatherhood-edu.org. And here's a little snapshot of the website, of the Fatherhood Educational Institute's website. But you really should go online so you can see a lot more. Our next caller, you're on the air, Chicago Counterpoint Television. I'm the host, Attorney Jeffrey Loving, and as our guest, our legal commentator, as I see it for tonight, is Art Callow, and he's here to answer your question right now. You're on the air.
Yes. So I'm calling from my friend. He has been taking care of his son basically since he was born. Mom signed over custody in a notarized agreement and actually entered into the court. Now mom is back in court requesting joint allocation and to take back the child and have the child live with her. How possible is it for my friend to lose physical custody of his son?
Well, here's the problem, caller. Our producer, Jennifer Whiteside, has just held up a sign, 1 minute left. So, Art, you have to answer this question in 15 seconds or less.
Yeah, well, it's difficult to assess his chances, but his chances will be zero if he doesn't do something about it. He has to be in court, he has to prepare for this. This could be the battle of his lifetime, and it could be the battle of his child's lifetime. So he should definitely hire the most competent attorney he could find and put everything he has into this case.
Okay, well, thank you, Art. You did it perfectly, 15 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Great having you on the show. It's really,
Very good to be
really
back.
important
Thank you
to
very
do
much. Thank you
this
very much.
volunteer work. Very, very important. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching and inviting us into your homes. And join us again next week, same place, same time, 7:30 p.m. And remember, all dads matter, fathers matter, and God bless.